how does a CVT work? How does that whole system work? Real easy. This is the outer pulley in the front. Here's the nut that holds it in place. Here's the inner pulley on the front. The belt is right here. This is the belt. The inner pulley is on a bushing and moves either this way or that way on that bushing. In here, you have the variator. The variator has weights in it, 6 weights. Due to the centrifugal force of spinning the RPM, these weights push against the pulley. This pulley is stationary, so the inner pulley pushes against the outer pulley and squeezes the belt in this direction or that. The slower it runs,
the further
the
down.
higher the belt is on the pulley. I'm sorry, I screwed up. The slower it runs, the belt is here. The faster it runs, the belt moves up toward the outside of the pulley. Whatever the belt moves out this way, you see it? It goes in the back, it goes in. So it is, by the way it works is, whatever RPM you are, the belt is in the right direction, has the right tension on it, and whatever the gearing is regulated by the rear pulley. The further the belt is in, the smaller the pulley, so the rear wheel goes faster. If you slow down, the belt will come back, run further out of the pulley in the back, so the wheel turns slower.
It's just like a bicycle derailleur.
Correct. This is set up right now to go slow or to stop. The belt is slack on the variator, and it's all the way out on the torque driver. At speed, the variator on the inside pushes against the fixed pulley, forcing this belt out higher. What restrains that and regulates it is this spring inside the torque driver that holds these two together. In other words, keeping the belt up high until there's enough power to push this pulley out, letting the belt come down, increasing your increasing your gear ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the variator
So
off.
that spring changes the whole dynamic. The spring back here changes the whole dynamic.
Correct.
Yes.
And you can buy aftermarket springs for
to do
various changes.
Yeah.
The heavier the spring
me-
is, the heavier the weights have to be.
Before you go any further, don't fuck with it.
Don't fuck with it. I need a socket, and I need give me my variator tool.
Sugarcoat it for us.
Give me the red one. Oh no! Let's just go ahead and use the variator tool.
Yeah.
Take a ratchet.
Okay.
Will that fit?
Where's the battery?
Battery? Battery is right here.
There we go.
For taking things apart, it speeds it up if you have experience. but putting it together is an absolutely no-no.
Don't use it.
You can use Variator tools to hold this thing. All it's doing is holding it. So you can use that to take it off, put it back on.
But not essential.
Not essential for taking it off. It is essential for putting it back on.
So I hate to kind of go back in time here, but if you didn't have these impact tools and you were doing this by hand with the Variator holding tool, what would you do?
Thank you.
Let me show you the Variator holding tools real quick. I have 3 of them. We have 4 of them. This is the official tool. That's the
That's
Piaggio.
Piaggio tool.
It's a horrible, horrible.
It's a horrible. It's a horrible
difficult
tool.
to use.
It's an awful tool.
It's
They're
awful.
very expensive.
I have one. It's terrible.
Okay,
but they
do
work.
not buy sounds like.
I
It
never
works, but-
use it because it's
Pain in the
useful.
ass.
It's heavy.
But just so you know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the first one. This is from Jetton. It's
Yeah,
kind of an
like
older
that's
model.
my bicycle.
It has 2 prongs that go inside these square channels.
Okay.
So
prongs.
let's put that in there. I don't like this one, by the way. You put that in,
Don't use it.
and then you have to turn it to where it fits in right there.
Forget it.
Well, now that you're telling us all the
Takes
tools
it
you don't like.
Right. You just don't like you.
We want you to have the simplest, best working one.
Right.
Yeah.
We have it.
This
It's like,
is
It's not
one
this
variety.
Okay.
we
Okay.
just show you all the good, the bad, and in between.
This is something I made. This is an old one of.
That's the one I use.
Where'd your fan go, Ralphie?
What?
It's an old one of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's
And how
mine.
that
I
works.
painted it red so I can find it.
Yeah, Ralphie's is red.
This is an old front pulley
Uh-huh.
It's had some machine work done to
that
it.
happens to
Yeah.
fit in the teeth of the other fan.
Okay. Awesome.
So that's what it is. an old pulley.
It's a mirror image then.
Yeah, it fits in like that.
Awesome.
And
I'll probably never make one, but.
I hate to do it, but if I'm on the side of the road, I'll let that bump up against the belt. If not, you need to put it in a way that it can come down onto this.
Ah, okay.
That's a pain in the ass, though. It's perfect for putting them together, though. It'll hold right there on the case
Oh, okay. So
for torquing it down.
which is more important.
Right.
Yes.
Because I have electric tools to take it apart.
Yeah.
I do this to put it back together. What I use this at home in the shop. This is what I carry with me on the bike. This is a Variator holding tool from Rossetti. And it comes apart. It's real simple. And once again, you use those 2 teeth that are in the center, the 2 square channels. Line it up and screw it down.
It has to be that hole.
It has to use that hole.
Reach
only
any
hole
of the
that
others,
works.
would it? I mean, it kind of only can go in that hole.
No, it'll go in the other hole, but it won't thread in all the way.
What other
It'll
hole?
Okay.
tear out.
There's another hole you can. You mean you can rotate it around to
You can
another hole?
rotate it to 11 o'clock, and then
Oh,
it'll
I see the
fit,
other
but it
hole,
won't.
yeah.
I see.
This needs to be tightened up well when you start to torque this.
Okay.
Because if it's not tightened up well, things start to move around.
Flip out.
You don't want that to happen. But this little guy I've used it already on the side of the road, and it folds down to nothing.
And you say it's Rossetti?
Rossetti.
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 BR.
Rossetti.
B-R-U-Z-E-T-T-I. You can go to Motorsport has them. Yeah, here, just pass that around. Motorsport has those. That's what I use for on the side of the road because it's tiny.
Yeah.
I use that and the fold-up holding tool. You know, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So at this point, you've taken off the Variator nut, so we can pull the fan. As a point of reference, you want to put the dipstick back in.
Okay.
It's kind of a pain with
Yeah,
the
but
dipstick
you don't
in
want stuff going
to
in.
mount this tool, but it's worthwhile.
You don't want stuff going in.
So at this point, you're ready to pull off the torque driver and the belt. Pull your little washer out. Keep it with the fan. You can pull the bell, set it aside. Don't forget to put it back in. The whole thing just slides right off.
Got it.
Okay? We're going to set this aside. We're going to talk about this in length in a few minutes, but here's the
Go ahead.
But for right now, we're ready to pull the variator out. Now, all the variator, it all lives behind this. This is the fixed pulley.
This goes in where it lives, the lawn.
This goes directly to the crank. It's held stationary. The variator comes in and out. And that's what thank you very much. That's what changes your gear ratios. So let's go ahead and pull this thing out. Oftentimes, it stays sorted together. It's not gonna for me.
This is the Brusetti.
So, this is really your variator. These pieces
The
together.
Brusetti.
This is the unit. This is the bushing, or the inside. This is actually the bushing. But you need this. Goes inside. In the book it says, danger, don't lube it. You want to put a layer of oil on it.
Yeah.
Just a layer.
Oil or
The-
white grease?
The reason you
Oil.
don't have to
Oil.
lubricate it is because the bushing has built-in
It's-
grease
It's
with it.
self-lubricating.
The self-lubricating bushing.
And the problem is if you put too much grease or oil on it, you get it out into these faces,
Ah,
and
And
that's
belt
where
slips.
the belt is riding. And you want to keep any kind of oil away from that.
Because
Okay.
otherwise the belt will slip.
So, to go inside, let me show you what's working. Set this aside. These are Dr. Pulley roller weights. These are not your standard rollers. I'm going to take a couple of these and pass them around. How many miles you have on these, Ralphie?
About 6,000.
Okay, I have a variator in that bag. I'm going to take apart, or a torque driver.
You want it right now?
No. Actually, I have a variator somewhere in here in this box. I've got 20,000 miles on a set of these weights.
Well,
I'm gonna keep using them.
There's a difference. Here, I saved these because that's what you have in your scooter if you don't have pulleys. The reason I saved these is this is a super extreme. But this is what I took out of scooters. And this is rollers which your scooter comes with, and at one time they were all one piece. The reason I saved that is because it came out of the same scooter with a variator part, showing the a real variator part.
Up top.
That's what it normally looks like. Well, this is aftermarket, so what does that tell you?
Don't buy aftermarket.
Don't buy shit like this.
Oh, it's Balassi. Okay.
Leave it with original parts and your problems not over, but at least not less.
This is the
This
is the
came
aftermarket.
apart 65 miles an hour,
Holy crap.
locked the rear wheel, blew the rear tire after it's locked up and slid on the tire. And the guy didn't go down because he was lucky and a good rider.
Good rider, yeah.
Ate the right foods.
And lucky.
But that's what happens.
Who was that?
Santa Cruz.
Who?
Balassi Variator.
No, who's the rider? Okay.
Just take a look at the trucks and shit.
I'm
He
gonna.
was asking who the rider was.
Some kid in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Not this kid.
The way these things wear, and the reason you need to replace them is they'll get grooved here on the face that the belt rides on.
Yeah.
Okay, other than that, and other than these weights, there's nothing you have to worry about. Correct. It's extremely important. What you need to take away from this whole discussion is the direction that these weights point when they're inside the variator. Now, I could just tell you, but I want you to understand what's going on, okay? This motor spins counterclockwise. So this pulley is in here, it's spinning counterclockwise.
Same direction as the wheels are turning when you're riding.
Correct.
That's your
It's putting force on in this direction. In other words, it's turning that way. So whatever weight you have in there, it has to have, you can see in one direction the weight can come out, in the other direction there's a shoulder there. And that shoulder is what holds the torque. That's, you put pressure on this side, you don't put pressure on this side. So as the motor's spinning, this weight has to be in here with the shoulder facing toward the rear of the bike. So that as it spins,
the roller always goes in, that the covered part is in the pushing direction.
Right. But you see, as you're working on it, this thing is backwards. You know? So I want you to hold it up like that and imagine the motor spinning. And the force is being held on one side. It's being applied to one side of this weight.
And that's the push
And it
side,
has to be the shoulder side.
the shoulder side.
So it goes in this way. So line it up, you know, hold it out and put it like that in your hands. And then turn it over. And you realize that the weight goes in just like that. So if you're looking at it, the shoulder is always on your left side. The bearing, the force bearing part.
Yeah.
And that is the same thing with when you keep stock rollers in it.
Yeah, with stock rollers, the same way.
Thing. It has an open side, it has a closed plastic side. The plastic side always goes in the pushing direction side.
It takes the torque. It'll always be on the left side. But I want you to hold it up there and look at it. And the motor is spinning counterclockwise, so it's imparting force this way. So the part of the roller that carries the force, that has the surface to carry the force, has to be held that way.
And turn it around a little bit so we can see back here when you're holding it up.
Yeah, so you're holding it, it's spinning this way,
Yeah.
so that you don't want it to spin into that side, you want it to spin into this side.
Got it.
So you're looking at it like that.
We call it the pushing side.
Right. So you just drop the weight in and orient it.
Can you put them in backwards?
You can put you
That's
can't put these in backwards.
The same when if you use stock rollers, if you put them in backwards, you won't know about it because it's going to have a clattering noise when you accelerate.
Yeah, it takes about 300 or 400 miles and then it'll chew the hell out of everything.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate design.
Okay, these weights you cannot put in backwards.
The Dr. Pulley ones.
But the regular round weights you can put in
You can
backwards.
put them backwards. Yes.
And everybody's done it. I've done it. Ralphie's, I don't know if you've done it, but I've done it. And what happens is you have to replace all these pieces because they'll chew themselves to bits. Okay, so is everyone clear with that? I mean, can you visualize the transfer of the power? Because that's what you need to know. It's, you know, I can stand here and say, always have the closed end on the left side. But as long as you understand what is happening in there, you understand.
Make it connect.
Yeah, so how do the two sides differ?
Okay. One side's open, one side's not.
One side has plastic cover on in order to make it quieter.
And to hold.
And that's the pushing side.
That
Correct.
is the pushing side.
Okay.
And as this is in here, it's turning
Can I see it
counterclockwise.
again? Because I didn't,
Yeah.
I was looking at it.
It's
but I didn't.
important that you understand that.
Yes.
Hey, Rolfie, could you grab one of the regular weights? I got you that set.
Yeah, take it with the weight in it and just pass it around so people actually are looking at it and holding it in their hand.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Just, you'd have to have crawl with it, just put one in and.
You got
Do you understand what I'm talking about, Karen?
I don't have those, I have those.
Okay,
But
well,
it's
we're
the
gonna
same,
put them
it's
both
the same
in.
principle, yeah.
And don't overthink it. Just hold it up there.
Right.
Realize how it spins and realize where it's transmitting the force. And that's where the solid side of the weight has to be. Okay? That's like a real nut of this whole thing, is how to put these
Look
in.
at this though. These are the ones you got me. Look at these. Both sides the same.
You're shitting me.
I'm not shitting you, I'm showing you.
So you can't put them in backwards.
Those are
But
the,
they have a slight extended plastic.
Oh, jeez.
Who made these
Oh.
things?
Yeah, those are crap. They're RMS. Well, you didn't
Same.
specify brand, Ralphie.
Make it his fault.
Okay.
It sounds like I'll be getting a Dr. Pulley here.
You know what?
Or just
The
look
way,
at it. Yeah.
the way to go between us, I see, and I must have changed thousands of them. Go Dr. Pulley or forget about it.
We also get a little performance bump with those.
They don't wear out and they go.
They do not.
But you have to
They got a
select a
little
certain weight.
more
It's not exactly
noisy,
the same
but
as the
who
stock,
cares?
right? So you have to
They
know if you're
work
going to go
good.
up a little or what. What weight do you get?
My bike is a bad example, so I don't know.
Well, no, not for acceleration, for reliability.
You drop 1 gram.
Okay,
The conversion is
all right,
11 grams go in a stock 250.
okay,
So you go 10 grams.
good.
14 grams go in a stock 300. So you go 13 grams.
There is a weight
150?
chart in there.
All right.
booklet.
Oh, there is. Okay, good.
It's all right, I'll look it up.
I'd have to go, yeah, I can find out on my computer.
That's
I can look
okay.
it up.
I
I don't even know what the stock variator weight
Yeah.
is.
Okay,
Closed
here's
as soon
the
as you
deal
can't see
set.
the bearing.
Right. So that's
Plastic
the
over.
closed,
That's closed.
that's open.
Oh.
See it.
Closed goes on your left,
So
so when
as
you're
it's
turned
facing
around,
away,
it's on the right.
so as it's
which
facing
means
away.
catching the weight.
Like
Right.
that.
So it says 10,
So
so probably 9 grams.
These are the
So you probably
original
want
ones.
those.
Oh,
on
nine?
this side.
On
You want
this
9? Oh yeah, that's what I have,
Yeah.
it's stock
I
ones.
replaced these when I had 4,000 miles on. And these are the regional ones on this
Oops.
Bible. Take a look at this already.
And you see this weight has a solid side
Yeah,
and an
yeah,
open side.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's easy.
yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
have.
what that
And
is.
same thing, you want the power to transmit on the closed side. So as it's spinning counterclockwise, the closed side has to face to the rear of the bike. And once you get one in right, the rest of them just drop it.
Yep.
But take a minute and visualize it, you know? I mean, I can tell you, when you're looking at it, it always is on the left side, and it always will be for the top. But if you can, inside your head, wrap your mind around what actually has to happen, you know, and what's going on, then you'll never make
Yeah.
that mistake.
Everybody got it?
Plus I got you guys saying it over and over.
Okay, how do
So
you
you-
determine? They suppose I do, when I do a service, I take it apart and inspect it. That's
Yeah,
me.
dump it out on
But I
the
don't know
table.
what the dealer does.
Look at all the parts.
But in the moment
Perfect.
you have
Yeah.
any, on takeoff, any weird noises on
Like
takeoff
rattling.
or slide, the first thing that will happen, when they turn flat spots, they get out of balance. So on takeoff, you will have some kind of a shattering. That is the first sign that it needs new walls. That is the sign.
But also, that chattering can be caused by dust and debris inside the bell, which
That's
is
easy to
caused
blow out.
Not.
which is caused by the clutch shoes wearing,
Okay.
and it'll be a sediment that'll build up.
That's.
And at that
that's
point,
why
you just
I
take it apart, pull
out
this
and
off,
Clean it at service, so.
blow the sediment off. You know, that's all you need to do. That's
Just clean it out.
that's something you're going to have to do every 4,000 or 5,000 miles anyway.
I thought people said you use, at least what I've read was you use 180 or 220 grit sandpaper in there to try and get.
Don't even bother with it. You know how long that lasts? About
Doesn't-
2 seconds.
Couldn't imagine.
Don't, just clean it out with a rag, get the dust out, nothing else. Because nothing will work.
Do you have to disassemble it, or can you just blow some compressed air in
You
there?
can try compressed air,
See if it'll work.
but the odds are not very good.
Okay.
But if that doesn't work, then you're gonna pull it apart and you're gonna inspect your
Check it
variator
anyway.
for
Yeah.
flat rollers.
Okay.
Because one of the things, go ahead, Rich. Are everybody happy with what you've seen on?
Yes.
It's real important that you're clear on
How
the
it works.
rollers can go in either way, and there's one way that they need to go in. You know, the Dr. pulleys are a little easier because, you know, they only go in one direction. But you need to understand that that's an important thing. That it will wear out in 1,000 to 3,000 miles, and you'll have to replace the weights and the variator if you don't put them in the right direction. So it's just one of the little critical factors.
And about how long would they normally be expected to last, the rollers?
Yes. They're supposed to
6,000
be-
miles is when you're supposed to pull them apart and look at them.
When?
Molossi rollers tend to last about 150 miles. And then they have flat.
Don't use any aftermarket except Dr. Pulley. We all run it. We got experience with it. That's the only other thing I recommend besides stop.
The Piaggio rollers are not bad. They usually last 6,000. You'll pull it apart, there'll be like one flat one, maybe two flat ones.
Mine were broken and shredded at 6,400.
Yeah. You know,
So you never know.
Okay.
My belt was like a tangle of thread, and
Wow.
a couple of the rollers were broken, and some were really flat.
Yeah.
You
Well,
got
you
to
live in
tell-
San Francisco.
You live in San Francisco.
And I
That
also
is
rode-
unfortunately.
Rode on the highway to Sacramento and to San Luis Obispo, pretty much almost white out throttle.
Unfortunately, you
times.
live in the city.
Yeah.
And one of the big things is, while we're talking about that problem, you got to learn to use your brake when you're on the hill. I know what everybody does. They use the motor to beat.
Oh, yeah.
I know, because I seen it. I seen these drums, not just blue. I mean, you haven't seen colored drums yet because due to overheating. You haven't seen blown up rear clutches. I seen one. Let me have that one. Were these shoes 3/4 was gone? Was not there anymore. But it still worked. I couldn't believe that. We saved that one at Piaggio
I bet you did.
because these shoes were burned off to here. The drum totally burned off, and it still worked. That's pretty tough. Now, while I have this in my hand, there's two other things. Well, we can talk about it when we take it apart.
Yeah, I'm gonna take one apart.
Okay.
I'm gonna take one of these apart to show you how it works.
One of the first things, when you take the cover off, let me have the cover. You got it handy there. There is a bearing in the cover. There is a bearing right there. You see that bearing? That bearing is a bearing that is lubricated one time. It has a seal on it. It cannot be taken apart and it wears out. If it wears out, it makes all kinds of weird noises. Most of the time it happens when you're on the road. The bearing can be replaced, and you can buy it either to a place which sells bearings only, or you can order one to Piaggio or whatever. But whenever you take the cover off, make sure you put your finger in the bearing and turn it. If the bearing is bad, you can feel it.
Feel the flat spots and
You can feel it. Just put
Just
your
rough.
finger on it,
Yeah,
put
feels
the rocket around, and you can feel it. And it is not uncommon. I see them go bad 15, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000. I see them go as far as 40,000. So it has a lot to do with in the area where you live. But make sure that when you have it apart, that you check it. And if it needs to be replaced, and the part is not very expensive, it's around 10 bucks or 15 bucks, something like that. The thing is, it's easy, if you really look at it, it's easy to replace, it's nothing complicated. The thing, you can take the clip out in the back, and you can knock it out. When you reinstall it, try to throw this in the oven, heat it up, and take the bearing and put it in the freezer. That makes it a lot easier to shove the bearing in.
Or you need a press.
Okay?
Or you need a press.
So that is the trick.
How hot in the oven?
And hot in the oven, just get it warm.
250.
Or lay it in the sun. That's good enough. Yes, so this is warm
So it
and the
expands.
bearing is cold. It will push together a lot easier. And then put the clip back in and you're back in business.
One thing you want to be aware of is that bearing in the parts book, there's a size beside the bearing. And it's just 3 dimensions. And that bearing would be like, what, a 13.727. In other words, 13 inner diameter, 7 millimeters wide, 27 diameter, you know, on the outside. That's a sealed ball bearing. You go down to any auto store, and you can say, I need a bearing of this size, sealed, and it's like $4, $5, $7, $8. You can buy this bearing from Piaggio. It's about $25.
Of course.
You get the exact same damn bearing.
Yeah. So that's, I just want you to know, make sure you check those bearings because it is super sensitive.
There's another one that's this kind of situation, a bearing that's non-lubricated in the swing arm on the other side. When we take that wheel off, you'll see that bearing. Same thing, go to your parts book, get the size, go down to the auto parts store, and they'll replace it. That's the bearing on the other side that the axle goes through. So we're going to put this thing back together.
Can I ask a question, Rich?
Sure.
Just 1 second. So when this is spinning, I understand it's spinning counterclockwise. What's the action that's actually causing this to push in, which pushes the belt, makes the belt ride on a wider diameter?
Okay, look at the inside. Look at where those are riding. Hold it straight up.
Uh-huh.
Do you see those ramps?
These, yes.
As centrifugal force pushes the weights out,
Push it when they come out. You mean they come out like this?
Yes.
pushes the weight toward the outer diameter.
That way.
They ride up here
Up there.
and force these two apart.
Okay.
This thing slides up and down on these little rails,
I see.
up and down.
I
That's
see.
how
And the
it
faster
slides.
it's spinning, the more these are pushed apart.
Which
And
compresses
this is up against the motor.
Uh-huh.
And so as that centrifugal force is applied, it takes this variator half and pushes it out toward the fixed pulley, forcing that belt up, higher up on the face.
So, got it. So it's really the flat spot, if I can get back at that. So the flat spots that form is really a flat spot that forms on that surface. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the only part that actually connects to this.
And you see these pulley weights start out flat.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So there's nowhere for them to go. In other words, the material can wear away. But as you can see, very little material
They're
has
also
worn away.
those are a different material that don't wear as much friction.
And then my other question was, this is spinning all the time when the motor is running.
Correct.
So the belt is always spinning as well.
No.
Okay.
When it's spinning slow enough,
Uh-huh.
this is in toward the motor, so the pulley halves aren't far enough, or they're not close enough to put any pressure on the belt.
Otherwise
this
you wear a
spins.
groove in it.
this spins here and the belt stays stationary.
I understand.
It'll tug at the belt a little bit, which is why you get the rear wheel kind of slowly turning, but it's not very much force.
Otherwise you get grooves and,
Yeah, it's very little contact.
I got
Well,
it.
the grooves are caused by wear.
Yes.
And as you can see, there's a lower groove and there's an upper groove.
That's because it's wide open or an idle.
Yeah, these are at idle, and then this is wide open.
Got it.
He doesn't have an in-between? Is that what you're saying?
There is no in between. Another thing that's important on these, another wear item, I'm really bad about not replacing mine, but these little green shoes,
Right.
they can start to get some wear in them, and it'll be too much movement.
And those just go in one way as well?
Correct. They can only go in one way.
What's that plate called? They've got a
And the shoes are called patinos.
Really?
Known fact.
Okay.
They're not called that here.
They're called patinos.
Really?
In San Jose, they're called
Rich, here.
Oh, thanks. I knew
What's this plate called?
It's just part of the Variator.
Okay, the whole thing's
The
broken.
backing plate, Variator backing plate. But basically, you just put this thing together. You don't even need weights in it. Slide it in, and if there's any chatter back and forth,
You hear it.
and you can tell these are loose. You know, so you know, I would, yeah, for my bike, I wouldn't even replace them. But for someone else's bike, I'd probably put new ones in.
Yeah.
Just because I don't mind a little bit of chatter. It's
And
like
they're
not that
okay
big a deal.
riding on that nylon, or does that need a film on it or something?
It doesn't need any lubrication at all.
I never had any issues with them.
Okay.
I never seen one come apart even.
Rich melted them.
And then how often are you changing when your grooves are you when you change this guy out or you replace belts? How often are you needing to change the variator for the grooves, or are you using?
I've had these things last 20 plus thousand miles.
Okay. Do you start to notice the grooves? I mean, are you using a little bit of Scotch-Brite on them, or?
Well, no. What happens is your speed starts to go down. Your top speed starts to slide down because as you wear grooves into this, the belt will no longer
Right.
ride.
It's not getting as far out.
Right. That's the first indication that your belt is wearing is when you lose top speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once a mile an hour on top, how often do you go wide open?
So,
Well, I go wide open enough to where I know when it's not
You'll
going
feel
wide
it.
open enough.
I have a 150, so all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, yours is an on-off switch.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, every time I'm on the
Rich, one more
highway.
question. So, I changed my Variator to a J Costa.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. But this is the part that was replaced, right? This whole assembly.
Yeah, this whole thing, both pieces.
Yes, okay.
You want to see
how many
a
miles
J
you have on that
Costa?
J Costa?
You know what we think of J Costa when you mention it?
Go ahead.
They work perfect
For the 6,000 miles.
for 6,000 miles. Why do they go bad? The bushing goes away.
The bushing goes bad.
The bushing,
Right here.
that bushing goes away.
Oh,
The little washer
yes.
pushes into this because the J Costa. What's interesting about that is that this Variator
Uh-huh.
isn't fixed to anything. It spins.
Oh,
In other words, it's not fixed to the backing plate
On the J Costa.
on a J Costa. Whereas on this, it's fixed to the backing plate by these ridges in these shoes,
Uh-huh.
so they stay together.
Oh, so it's a wear
And
part.
the J Costa does not have
They're really
any
cool for like
rollers.
6,000 miles, and then they're garbage.
J Costa does not have any rollers or any sliders. They have pins. So the way they work is the centrifugal force pushes these pins out, which are made out of plastic. And they wear also, but not a little wear on them, no big deal. But the problem we had with these, and especially since I was with support vehicle and Cannonball, that's what happened. The bushings went away, and those things just, boom, that was it. Belt gone. How many did I replace? In 2008, 4 belts.
Okay, we're gonna start putting this thing back together.
Not on my, I have a support truck. So.
Right.
So let's just say that you put new weights in your old Variator. It's important that they move freely. Okay, it's important that they're not so wide that they begin to bind. Oftentimes you'll find new weights, they'll bind. Sometimes you can like change spots and they'll free up.
Or take a little emery cloth and sand them.
How loose? How loose? Is
Just
that too loose, or is that
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. You just
Okay.
want them to be. You don't want
Just
them to
want free.
bind anyway at all.
Okay.
So, and that's what the chatter is then, where it's just on idle, it's just
That
the
has
rollers.
something to do with it, yes.
Yeah, and a little bit of chatter is really not that big a deal.
No.
If one's tight, you just put some real fine sandpaper down on the table, set it down there, slide it around until it fits in properly.
Okay.
Just one thing to check.
Real quick before you button that up, the orientation that you have the rollers in now, with them
Yeah.
all sort of leaning towards the center, is that crucial for reinstallation? That
Okay.
they all be,
The thing that's different, you see, if these were rollers, they'd be done.
They'd be,
They'd be
yeah.
done. These are pulley weights. You can have them down in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Push them all down like that, and it'll go together, and it'll kind of work.
okay,
Sort of.
Sort
A
of.
little.
Not
okay,
well, but
But
it'll work.
right.
okay,
So on the Dr. pulleys, have that little line pointing out.
okay.
Okay. So we're ready to put this thing back together again, and put it in. So you get the little green feet, and you line them up on the little rails where they go. Boom, it's back together. Now you take this, set it on, slide it up a little bit, and then put your bushing in. Okay? And then just take the bushing and push it all the way back. Now, that's on there, it's in the right spot, it seems good. Just put something on there that you can just sort of tap it a little bit, just to make sure that you can't go any further. That one of those pulley weights isn't in the wrong spot holding it out.
How
Go
would
ahead.
you know? If
By
one of them
sound.
was, okay.
Big enough
My
sound.
sound, you know, if it's metal to metal, as it needs to be. You're not-
YouTube or DVD.
Okay. So
Nowhere to roll this.
if we're going to replace the belt, we've got a, I don't know, is this the new belt, Ralphie?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, on the belt.
I was going to show him the Variator first. I'm not going to tear it apart. I'm going to show him how. Cut that crap off there.
Okay, on the belt when you get ready for that. On the belt, make sure
The belt is directional.
the
It
belt
has to go
is
in one direction.
directional. So either there's arrows on the belt, and if the belt doesn't have arrows on it for the direction, you go by the numbers. So you read the number
Can you
the
read
way
that?
you normally read the number,
It's like
and the
Piaggio.
number starts in direction of the belt. If you don't install it that way, if you install the belt backwards, probably 600 miles. Gone.
Yeah.
Because the belt.
But it does work. I'm here to tell you, I got home 300 miles, I broke the belt on the highway and I didn't know any better and it was backwards, but I got home. So it works.
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
But it
What's so
doesn't last
asymmetric about it? What's so
because
symmetric?
the way the belt
that?
is
It looks
designed
symmetric.
and the
What do you
way the
mean?
rubber and
It
the
looks like you could put
canvas
it on
is
backwards.
laid
Oh,
up
absolutely.
and it is
You can.
laid up in
Why
the
does
direction
it
of
break after 600 miles on it?
So,
Because it's constructed to run in one direction.
I see.
In other words, to hold torque in one
Okay.
direction.
Yes.
Now see how you can read that?
Yeah.
Okay, now that you've established, that it's directional, which direction does it go?
That's the
Right
top.
up and in.
When you put this on, you want to be able to read that on top,
Okay, easy
Right.
enough.
okay? It's Piaggio. You want it on top so you can read it, just like that.
It's very important.
Next step, though, is we have to get this open enough to get the belt in
To get it back
to
out.
get it all
Over
together.
the-
We showed
In other words,
that
it's
when
too
we
tight.
got to.
And this
we
is critical.
Well, we're doing it right now.
Oh, you're
I'm
gonna.
gonna put it back together, and then I'm gonna show them the Variator later.
Okay.
The way you do this,
Okay, hold it.
the ladies are gonna be unhappy.
Hold it. Before we go any further. Just so you know, I know Rich will go to it with the other clutch assembly. The clutch assembly also has a bearing in it. If it is off, it's a sealed bearing, same thing. Put your finger in it, feel it, make sure it is nice and smooth. The other bearing is a needle bearing in the back of it.
So you just want those to be
before
nice
you reassemble
slick.
it, put some high temp grease on it, a little bit.
not very much, because you don't want it to be so much that it's
Also,
gonna get to the belt.
Also, put your finger in it and feel the pins or holders or whatever you will not call them. Make sure it doesn't have any hard spots on it. Very important. Also, just so you let you know, because I replaced one last month, that bearing was bad. They also available.
Aftermarket.
That is because if you go and buy this, because the bearing is bad, you're talking $250. So why replace it if you can put a $10 bearing or a $5 bearing in it?
And I'm gonna show you what this looks like pulling it all apart.
Yeah.
And I've got another one down here.
Just so you remember.
What should your shoes look like as far as do you look at?
There's a wear limit on these shoes.
There is, okay.
I've never, well, it's like 0.2 millimeters.
Oh.
Hey,
I've never seen one wear out. I've seen them just
forever, except if you live in the city or use it as a brake on the hill.
Or ride two
That's
up
it.
in the city.
Otherwise, I never seen anybody. I never replaced one.
Okay.
The reason we had one with us for cannonball is in case something weird happens and blows apart, at least we have a new one. But otherwise, wearing one out, I never seen one yet, except that one which is exceptional from San Francisco.
Yeah, I've never seen any substantial wear on one.
There is no,
The wear parts on these are inside here, and I'll show you what that looks like later.
yeah.